Hello, Living You podcast audience. We are in season two. We decided that this season was going to be a little different, have guests on, and we wanted to be spontaneous AF. So, what we've done, and there he is, the eyeball. We've invited the most spontaneous AF person we know, Chris Abazi. He's got a book out. We'll talk about that. He's also real estate extraordinaire, right? Coach, travels, talks to people, does really high level classes. Rich and I got to take last December. And team leader Keller Williams has his own thing going now and can speak to all the real estate stuff that we talk about.
Right.
So Chris, welcome.
Thanks for having me. And it's I like how you text me, hey, you want to be on a podcast in an hour? And I'm like, well, I actually happen to be open that hour, so let's do it. Here we are.
There you are. I said,
That's
don't
how
you,
that's how I prefer to do things, man. And I say, and I mentioned in the book that the best things, the best moments of your life rarely made it to the schedule, and this is one of them, right?
absolutely. That's what I was like. I was, you know what? I'm reading his book and he wants to be spontaneous. I'm getting his ass on today,
That's right.
unscripted.
That's what we do.
That's amazing.
That's it. So, Chris, tell us a little bit about you and why we're talking to you. Why would we want to talk to Chris today?
Oh man, I was asking about your audience, and you said you've got, some consumers and some agents, and man,
Mm-hmm.
I've been on both sides of that in all different kinds of capacities, and I mean, I got into real estate sales. Um, I got kicked out of college, and put on academic probation. I said, let me get my real estate license until I figure out what I want to be when I grow up. And then all these years later, I've gone through, being a salesperson, launching a couple companies and getting into leadership, and then wanting to get
Mm-hmm.
out of that world to just be able to work with everybody because I just, I wanted to work with other business owners. So, I mean, not only have I been well involved with the world of real estate, but I've been working with business owners, for the past 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good. Hey, wait,
That's
sorry.
great.
Yeah,
No, that's great.
I have no internet here, and that's why I'm on my phone. Sorry about that, but we make it
It's
happen,
okay.
and
We
I'm
make
good.
it work. We make it work. But no, I love that. And that's again like what we talk about when we say the Living You podcast and what that really embodies is it's beyond real estate. So that's why like your message, your positive message of life is awesome and it speaks to my soul. So why don't we get into some real estate?
Sure.
Let's give us that. Just give us a little bit of real estate, maybe your journey. So you got kicked out of college. I love that. Got licensed. So
Yeah,
start
yeah.
me off and
And
walk me through that a little bit.
that was in, I guess, 2001, end of 2001. The Twin Towers had just gone down in September 2001. I started getting licensed shortly after that. I was started selling real estate in Queens, New York, which is an area I'd never lived before, didn't know anybody. That was probably January 2022. Um, and it was a seller's market. The stuff was flying off the shelves. They had all those, mortgages. Anybody could buy a house if you had a pulse. So, you guys, I don't know if you remember that market. Rich, maybe you were in the business back then.
At that time, I was not, but
Yeah, that's what was
definitely
happening, and
was.
nobody wanted to work with first-time home buyers. So, somebody, a mentor of mine, said, the rules of making money are find out where money is being exchanged, uh, and then get in the middle of that with somebody that no one else wants to work with and make it your niche. And so I liked first time home buyers because they were like me, they were young, I found it really rewarding. And I also noticed something about the real estate world service wise. Not everybody was great. So
Hmm. Right.
not every real estate agent or broker cared about people, or not all of them provided great service. So I wanted to make that my niche. I wanted to create an experience for people that that was that they wanted to come back to, and a 5-star experience. And that's how I started my career. That's what I was bringing to that industry. I never fancied myself to be a salesperson. I mean, when I was in high school, I played punk rock music and literally wrote lyrics that said, "I'd rather die than wear a suit and tie." And here I was, suiting and tying it up, and yeah, working with people. And I just loved when people, you know, oh, all real estate brokers are the same. No, we're not, So I wanted to be that breath of fresh air, and it was good. And that was the rookie
True.
of the year my first year. And I said, I guess this is
Amazing.
what I'm doing.
Yep. Yep. Well, you didn't get kicked out of that, right? They wanted to keep you around, so that's good. So you keep going.
My first broker, I was the rookie of the year my first year, and then my second year, I didn't do much better. And I couldn't figure out how to get listings. I couldn't get listings, and then so I was spending a lot of time getting listings unsuccessfully. And I didn't. My production didn't grow my second year, so my broker told me to take a hike.
So you did
No,
get kicked out of
no
that
way.
too. I love
Yeah.
this.
He's like, I wanted to leave anyway. I just stayed out of loyalty because it was a small office. I wanted to go to a big office with more listings. I mean, back then
Yep.
nobody was letting you see listings unless it was in your office. It was crazy, and I already wanted to go to
Hmm.
another office, and there was people trying to recruit me, and he felt that I was a distraction to the other agents in the office, which is absolutely right. Ironically, fast forwarding, 8, 10 years from that, I was opening up an office upstairs from him. So this broker, I don't know, Jess, if you know, Rock
Oh,
Realty.
yeah. I was gonna say
Uh,
upstairs. I know who's downstairs from our
yeah,
office. Yeah.
Rock Realty. Jim Pappas. That was my first
Oh my
broker,
God, what a jerk.
and he was trying to recruit me right before I launched that office up there, and then he wanted to be part of our office. And a couple of years later, I was sitting down with him, offering him 5% of our company to take over his, and that's an interesting conversation. And he one time
Yep.
had lunch with Lou, and he was asking Lou. Lou said, Jim asked me, what do you owe all your success to up there? And I said, Chris, you had him right there when he was 22. How'd you let him go?
Yep.
And Jim was like, I tried to get him back, but he didn't want to come. And I said, well, I didn't want to be
No.
there to begin with. But that's what happens. Yeah.
No, I did you a favor. You got bigger and better and stronger after that point. And
Yeah.
that's but
Yeah.
that's a good point that I want to just stay on for a second.
Mm,
You stayed at a loyalty, and a lot of people do that, and I love that
yeah.
because I think there's a lot to be said for people that are loyal, that honor the person that got them started or whatever it is,
Mm,
and there comes a growth point. And for you, you had to be kicked out, which I love that. I love that you got kicked out because you got to get bigger after that. But for people, to just hear if you're just staying because the person was nice at some point or helped you at some point, but you're not growing, it's okay to thank them, honor their relationship, and grow. Spread your wings and get out and know that there's something bigger and better for you next. You got to bet on yourself and be loyal to you.
that's right.
That's
I
right.
mean, there's, it, you know, and I've done that a lot in my life, where it's, staying in a situation because of for a different reason. And I felt like he poured into me a lot my first year, and I was the rookie of the year, and I didn't want to dip after my first year. Hey, thanks.
Hmm.
I said, let me knock it out of the park my second year and hang around at this,
Yep.
50-50 company. And, but I didn't do much better, but I was back then I was charismatic, and, he thought I was a distraction to other people in the office because I would come in and rile everybody up and take people out for 2-hour lunches, and so he thought I was a distraction.
No, that's the culture piece, right? That's the culture piece of making people feel good about where they are and who they're doing business with. I love
Well,
that.
yeah, I think so. But people want different types of operations. They've got.
Hmm.
We say that there's like a different, different personality of each organization, a different archetype, really.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
Chris, question along these lines. You've had quite a number of different little trajectories within getting to where you are now.
Huh.
And you just were talking about sort of like the fit at one broker, the fit at another. If we zoom out, large scale, do you think people, whether that's real estate agents or people in general who are employed or are self-employed or running a business, do you think like, what is my question? Are we reflective enough? Like, at what point, as either like an agent, should I be thinking, hey, is my broker the right fit today? Is my broker the right fit tomorrow or in 6 months? Or, as Jess kind of alluded to, you're in the system, you know it, it's fine, it's
Hmm.
fine, it's fine. Is that like, I don't know where you fall on that spectrum of like question everything and be ready to escape, or hey, hold steady. There's value in what just in general.
It's I think Jim Rohn said that the sweet spot of life is being content and ambitious at the same time. Like because people that are usually content are rarely ambitious, and people that are ambitious are rarely content. And if you can kind of figure those things out, so for me, they're always running side by side. I'm always appreciative and grateful for where I am and who I'm with, and at that point in the journey. But I'm also excited about the future, and I don't know what I don't know, and that's really what lights me up. But sometimes I don't want it to rob me of this moment I'm in. So when I left my first brokerage and went to my second, it was a big office, the number one office in Queens. They used to be called First Choice Real Estate, and then they changed to Coldwell Banker. I was there a year and I learned how to list. Still a 50-50 company. I knew I was not gonna end there. I knew that that was just a stepping stone to my real estate career, but I still appreciated it and had the gratitude, and I didn't let it rob me of the moment of being there. You know, sometimes you get agents that are just
Yep. Yep.
they're walking around in the hallways just kind of bitching about the company and the brokerage all the time, and it's like nobody's forcing you to be here. You know, and I didn't let them do it in my company. You know, I was like, hey man, I heard that you had some complaints about this. Yeah, blah blah. I'm like, well, that's the way it is. So I'm going to give you your license today, man. Nobody needs to be unhappy in this world. But I always,
Yep.
even if I know I'm with working with somebody and that's I'm not going to be with them forever, or I'm at a place and I'm not going to be there forever. I'm still there and grateful and present, and getting the most out of it. I'm not, I'm trying to be content and ambitious at the same time, and I hate to say try, but I really want to strike that balance, whenever possible. But at what point do you start looking at that?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's for I'm very everybody's got different orientations though. Some people are really economically driven, some people are altruistically driven and stuff. So I'm really for me it's the people. The people make a world of difference.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
uh like a Keller Williams, man, I love the people that I was in business with until the people that I was in business with, and I love those people until my values were not in alignment with theirs anymore. And there was for me, there was a little bit of an integrity gap, and that's when it started to feel uncomfortable and feel funny. And I knew I wasn't going to be there forever. Being a team leader, I knew, and everyone said, "Oh, you're going to go on to bigger and better things." And I went to them and I told them, "Hey, at the end of the year, at the end of next year, at the end of the year, I'm going to move on. I'm going to look for bringing on my replacement." And they
Well,
were like,
tell us
"Okay, cool."
so back up, tell us how you got into leadership and what that looks like and what your role was, because that's a role that's
Sure.
near and dear to my heart, as you know. And it embodies so much. So just from your perspective, right? So how did you get there, and what was really that you did that you thought was effective?
Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
it's an
just
interesting journey.
sorry, Chris, just to clarify super quick. So, if anyone doesn't know what a explain what a team lead is in the context of where you guys were in both
It's
in your
like
situations.
you're basically you're a non-producing leader, and you're basically the chief executive officer of that company, of that office. You're responsible for growth and revenue, like any CEO, and that's done by two ways: helping your number one, helping your agents produce income. Because with a real estate brokerage, it's not like a regular company. It's like all the money comes into a real estate brokerage from the work that agents do. So as a team leader there, you help your agents produce at the highest level, you help them build businesses, and you bring on more people. So recruiting other agents was the number one way to get more revenue into your company. And then you manage the staff, you watch the numbers, and that's it's a non you have to get out of production to do that. And so my journey, I mean, when I went to my second office, First Choice, I learned how to list FISBOs, and was that was fun. And my manager started like there was like some younger new agents coming in, and they would ask me to teach a class once in a while, like on doing a buyer consultation and things. So I just kind of started teaching some new agents then, once in a while. And then I left there to go to Remax because I was on a 50-50 split that graduated to 60-40 at like 100 grand in gross, and I forgot what it was. And I went to Remax because that year, my third year, I made $128,000 gross. But I remember I went to meet with the Remax broker, Razik, and he said, "How much money did you make this year?" And I said, "Yeah, I made like 60. I made like 60 something thousand." He's like, "No, you didn't. You made 128." And then he showed me. He's like, "If you were here, you would have paid $2,000 a month for your desk, and you got 95% of your check." And I said, "Oh, I would have put
Oh,
over 100 grand in my pocket. Cool. Like about it's a lot of money." So I left First Choice and went to Remax, And you're an island there. I mean, I rented my own place, but there was a lot of young agents there. I connected with a lot of people. Some of those people being Lou and Dave and Holly and all the people that ended up launching the first Keller Williams. So I was an agent there, and I got a call from Dave Legaz one day say, secretly, hey, we're opening up this company. Why don't you come meet with these people? Yeah. And I said, they tell me about it. And I went to this meeting. I said, I'll come to a meeting. I don't really want to go anywhere. And then I was at a presentation, and the guy giving the presentation said, yeah, because when Gary Keller started the company, and I said, is that the Gary Keller that wrote The Millionaire Real Estate Agent? And they were like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, I'm there. And I loved everything the company had to offer. It was agent centric. It had capped commissions without the risk of having a high desk fee like it did at Remax. It had capped royalties. I was real big on training and coaching. They had great training and coaching. I was real big on technology. They had good stuff. So, I mean, I went over right away. I was one of the founding members there. And they asked me if I wanted to be the team leader back then. Um, and as a young salesperson making in the six figures, really with not, I just wanted to do like one to two transactions a month, It's like, and I had, I hit like, I was hitting, I was listing houses in Whitestone and Bayside over there, 800, 900,000. So, they said, oh, you want to be a team leader? This is what it looks. And I said, oh, it sounds like you make a lot less money and you're a company person. Why would somebody want to do that? I said, go find another sucker. I was 27 at the time, and they did. They found a sucker. And she did really well. And she was my team leader, and I was an agent there in Bayside. And then at Bayside, my team leader there, like, because I was listing FISBOs, she's like, can you teach a class on listing FISBOs and this? And I'm like, well, you just call them. So my first classes was just me kind of watch what I do, and I calling FISBOs live. And then all the agents started making their own appointments and bringing me on the appointments. And so I was kind of like a mentor there. And they were always pushing me to, oh, you should get into coaching. You should get into coaching. And I'm like, why would I want to do that? And then the opportunity rolled around again. Luke came to me and he said, hey, we're doing this thing again in Jackson Heights, your old stopping grounds. We can't think of anybody else that we'd want to be the team leader but you. Please, I
But
hope you
you.
consider. And I said, I know what it's about now. I said, and I think I'm ready for that. And I was ready to make a lot less money. And I was, I was, I was eighth in the country the year we launched for growth and recruiting and all kinds of stuff. And it was really it was hard. It was hard on me financially because a big part of our compensation package was based on profit, based on the company being profitable, and we were not profitable our first year. We had a loss carried forward, but within a year and a half
Dogs.
within a year and a half we'd paid that loss carried forward, and we were profitable. And then I started doing really well. But as part of that journey, talking about the loyalty, and I mentioned this in the book. Um, I My second year, I did well, and Manhattan had launched, and Manhattan, they were paying their team leader a salary the salary just to walk through the door was 200,000 a year plus all the bonuses. So, and they weren't
Mm.
profitable. They weren't profitable yet either, but that sounded a lot better than my 60. Um, and I
100%.
I talked to my coach Mike Bastian. He's Mike Forza now, but at the
Hmm.
time he said, Chris, I said, look, they're offering me this position. He's like, well, you love where you're at, and he's like, let me ask you this: do you want to be legendary? Because you have all the ingredients of somebody that could be legendary. And I said,
Wow.
sure, I guess. He's like, well, any good team leader can take a good team leader position with a good salary, but only legendary ones can do what you're about to do.